Hi everyone and welcome to the Stillhouse here at Tomatin Distillery. As you may be able to tell from behind me, there's not a huge amount going on at the moment, and that's because we are in our summer shutdown. So that means for the next few months we're going to be doing a lot of maintenance work here at the distillery. There's going to be new copper installed in the stillhouse, there's a new cooling tower going in, some works on the roofs here. There's a lot going on over the next couple of months here at the distillery, but not a lot of whisky making. So what we always try and do before we get to this stage is have a really exciting last burst of production and run some spirits trials. Now, last year, you may remember, we used chocolate malt in the mash house to produce the spirit, and the results of that were fantastic. So we've continued along that roasted malt theme, and this year we've used caramalt. Now, caramalt is a roasted malt typically used by pale ale or lager producers. It adds a lot of flavour, a lot of sweet caramel flavour. It's also used to adjust the colour as well. Now, obviously, we're not too interested in the influence that it's going to have on the colour. The spirit, as always, will come off the stills crystal clear. So what we're looking for is those caramel, sweet, malty flavours that barley, that malt is going to be able to add into Tomatin. Now, anyone that knows the Tomatin spirit will already know that it has that malty backbone. And even when you get to older expressions, there is that clear maltiness, that cereal note coming through. It's a whiskey that really understands what it was made of and where it's come from. So we're not adding anything new here, unlike the chocolate malt that we did last year. What we're trying to do is amplify and intensify a flavour that's already in the spirit and see what that impact has. The caramel itself, as you can see, very similar in appearance to the sort of malted barley that we would typically use to produce Tomatin. If you take a closer look, it's got an almost caramelized effect, little amber flecks throughout. It's almost like the kernels of popcorn in there. And when we have a smell of it, as expected, it's got that real sweet barley caramel notes. We've opted for a light caramel here. You can get it at a medium roast level. The medium roast had that sort of dark roast coffee flavours as well. So we wanted to move away from the chocolate malt that we did last year and have totally new flavours here. One of the women over in the office told me that this reminded her of malted milk biscuits. And if you've ever tried those, it's absolutely accurate. That sweet, biscuity flavour there. There's a slight nutty element as well, and of course lots of that caramel flavour coming through. So we've taken this roasted malt, which has very limited enzyme activity, and we've run it through the stillhouse. Now, in order to do that, we have to have a mash bill with malted barley, standard malted barley in there. So what we've done for our 9-ton mash, around about a ton of caramel has been added in. So that's about an 11-12% inclusion rate there, which is going to give us lots of influence from the roasted caramel, but still all of that activity that we require from normal malt in order to produce alcohol. A week later, after a week of fermentation, 168 hours, that was taken down to the stillhouse and distilled in our typical way here at Tomatin. And the aroma from the spirit is incredible. It's everything you expect of Tomatin, but almost denser. It's a fuller flavour. It's not necessarily heavier. Tomatin's always going to produce a light-bodied spirit, but that malty backbone that we have from Tomatin is really amplified, but not to the detriment of the fruit. All of those apples and pears and citrus notes that you expect from a Tomatin spirit, they're still there in abundance as well. It's like everything's been levelled up, which is really interesting. It's going to provide a really interesting whiskey in years to come. On the taste there's almost a salted note, like that salted caramel that I was talking about there. That nutty macadamia, cashew type of flavour comes through as well. It's a really, really interesting spirit, and it still has all the hallmarks of Tomatin. I often get a rhubarb type of flavour in the Tomatin spirit and a citrusy note, and that's coming through a huge amount there as well. So what we have done with this spirit is we've filled it into a wide variety of second fill casks. The reason for that is when we're doing a spirit trial, we want the spirit to be at the forefront of the flavour. So rather than having the cask dominate it, or perhaps overpower this. We want to see those nuances come to life and how that works. So we've taken second fill casks that we've already used once before, but a wide variety. So there's second fill virgin oak, second fill bourbon, but also second fill Fino, Oloroso, and Pedro Jimenez sherry, some second fill port, some second fill Moscatel. And that just means that we've got so many options when the spirit eventually becomes whiskey in order to create flavours and to create interesting products off the back of this. So again, I would say another incredibly successful spirit trial here before our summer shutdown. Be sure to check in on us over the next few years for more spirits trials, and hopefully in time this will become a really, really incredible whiskey that we'll be able to enjoy together. Cheers.